So this is the sound of me walking into the woods, my familiar loop in the dark of these darkest days. And this is such a familiar walk that I like to let my eyes adjust. I have a headlamp in case I need it, but I like to walk along and feel my way on this most familiar path and feel it in the dark, which is a little spooky, you know, like if I think too hard, I can get a little like fuzziness on my back, wondering what's like my hackles are up. That maybe eyes are going to peer at me in the dark, or you know, it's just a time. Ooh. 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 Oh. Okay, this is my familiar path. And for weeks now, there's been this blown down tree. And it's gone. And I didn't trip over it. It's gone. And that's one of those secret Christmas gifts, I think. My favorite kind. You don't know, it's a huge gift. It's something that is a real pleasure to have a service or, you know, something done for you and you didn't know about it. And that to me is the spirit of this season. And I'll talk more about it in a moment. There's something about this time that I feel like I've been unplugged and I just have battery charge left and I can feel the battery going down, and I'm not even being that careful about how I'm using my last bit of battery charge. I'm not conserving it. It's just going down and I'm becoming a ghost. And I mean that where the things I do seem to become invisible. It's like I'm sort of wandering around trying to want to send Christmas cards and trying to want to do one more last thing, and I don't have any juice behind it. It's kind of this meaningless wandering. I hope I'm not the only one that feels this way, just because I don't want to feel alone. But it's not a great feeling, and yet there's something so humbling about it, where I realize that this season is powerful enough to have me stop and really slow down and just lose my ability to carry on in the way that I'm familiar with, the way that I think I know myself. And I'm getting really close to the water now, so let's see if I can have you listen to the water for a moment. Lucky for us, it is going to snow tonight, which means that we get that wish of a white Christmas and the quiet of really being forced to stay still, which I find incredibly difficult. And that's what I've been since this new moon. This, of course, is not really a new moon report that has passed. This is my solstice, these days of stillness, moment of wondering, what is this? Is this really something new, this cycle, or are we just cycling round again? I want so desperately for there to be this new, hopeful year, 2026 being a year of recognition, realization, and reunion. And my big sigh is feeling that I have to steel myself for managing disappointment. So probably this is not a good time to talk about the new year, and I think I should save it actually, Because right now, this is time where I'm in the depths of my wondering. And who am I? And what do... Oh, can you hear that? Wow. Okay. You can't hear this. I'm trying to count in my head. It's coyotes singing, rejoicing, making noises. It's not the long howls. It's a very happy, chirpy. Just, I wonder what does that look like? It sounds amazing. Okay, I don't think you could hear that. So, coyotes. I'm going to finish this inside. I think it's time to go back inside. I'm going to think a little bit more. Hello and welcome. I'm speaking to you on the half moon after winter solstice 2025. It's December 29th today. And I'm pleased to note that I was not wrong about taking December off. If you listen to the last podcast, I remember saying that thinking, this is just, it's coming up very strongly, but I didn't know if I was really going to do it or not, even though I was feeling like that's what I needed to talk about. And then December was just a lot in ways that aren't even obvious. It was just that advice of knowing that I ought to have every spare moment for myself in December it worked for me. So when solstice came around and it was time to do the solstice report, it wasn't time for me. So I took it off. I needed to not do the podcast then, but that was pretty hard for me to accept. And I accepted it because I'm trying to follow along with what comes up in these sessions and not just share them without integrating it myself. That's something that I've done a lot in the past. I will, offer advice that I'm not also following. And I think that has a shallowness that something about me is willing to not be as interested in good advice without the rootedness of knowing it in myself too. So what is going on anyway? I'm your host, Ann Headley. This is my podcast, What is Going On Anyway? And this is where I take some time, generally about every 2 weeks, to check on the moon and share what's coming up for me as an intuitive and as an artist, as a person of the world. I use my imagination and intuition to tell a story by surfing the present moment and sharing it with you. Some call this channeling. It feels a little like channeling, but my experience is that it's more of a hybrid, and it's possibly a very good way to brainstorm for the future. The hybrid would be like channeling plus imagining, channeling plus storytelling, channeling plus garble that comes out of my mouth. But I hope this inspires you to look for your own waves of presence, your own ways of interacting with your presence in the present moment. And ultimately, I hope this becomes an internal revolution that I believe is necessary to usher us into the future collaboration of being here together. And shall we just add, since we're at the end of this year, with some understanding of peace, with some understanding of harmony, while all of the chaos is happening around us at the same time. I am especially interested in my own and other folks' experiences of spirituality and the question, what are we here for? And what is the meaning of life? So here at the end of the year, we are being confronted with this turning again towards the light, in the Northern Hemisphere. So it seems to me that there is a need to close and let go of many things that came up with our communing with this dark time as we dipped down into solstice time. And I'm suggesting this practice that you can find all over the place. How do you close doors? How do you let go? How do you close books and put them back on the shelf? And so as we let go of some of the aches and pains of 2025, let's consider this simple practice. And you can do this for the aches and the hurts. You can also do it for the wins and the joys. And maybe especially, and I think without having to give yourself all kinds of work or labor around this, maybe you think of one thing that really hurt in 2025. I had a friendship go topsy-turvy in 2025, and it hurts. And so I can take that as an example. And so say or write the things you never said. Like, I'm really sad that we didn't see eye to eye and that we couldn't move on as we were before and that we have to find a new pathway together, if at all. And then release what isn't yours to carry. That not seeing eye to eye, I can't make someone see the way I'm seeing. And of course, I wasn't either seeing their perspective clearly. And say goodbye in this way of bowing to the situation. And then close it and let it go with the year. This next year has different opportunities for understanding, for letting go, for pains, and for joys. There's more that I could get into privately about what would I say, what was unsaid, and let it go off into these last tendrils of this year, if possible. Let it be composted. Let it go. So do that, I think, with some of the joys. Like think of some wonderful, I don't know, maybe you had a beautiful reunion with someone this year. And the same thing is like sometimes, we have these great joys and there are things unsaid too. Like, I have missed you for so long. I loved seeing you. My heart was so happy to see you. And also release maybe disappointments around that. Say goodbye to that as an experience. And bow. You don't have to actually bow, but you could. Bow to what you've been through. Honor your actual lived experiences as a way of letting go, as a way of brushing clean the ground to build for this next year. Because, it's wishing time. This is the best time of year to wish, bridging from one year into the next. And I talked about doing the 13 wishes. You can of course you can wish anytime, but now is a really good time to write down on strips of paper 13 wishes that you could actually give some feet to in the new year. So you wouldn't be wishing for world peace. If that was a deep wish of yours, you would maybe wish to join a community of peacemakers or find ways of expressing it in the world really, really, really. I think that these wishes are coming from the depths of that aching, of the things left unsaid, of the ways to move more fully into our lives for this next year. And maybe you encountered the deep dark of your underground self, that part of you that knows a thing or two about a thing or two and is really honest about it. So while you're doing your wishing, even if you've already written down your 13 wishes, I wonder, would you consider, how do you like to be seen and known? sometimes that's just old patterning. Like, I like to be seen and known in positive light. And how do you want to be seen and known? Like, I want to be seen and known as an innovative, creative thinker. But that doesn't really feel that comfortable to me because I want the stability of knowing that I will be seen and known. So there's some little bit of wishing in there for me, right? I wish that I could bring myself out a little bit more. I wish I could play and experiment a little bit more with my artistry. That's my wish. Consider how you love the world, how you love your animals, how you love your loved ones. Consider how you pray, how you recharge, and how you discharge. How do you make family? How do you make your chosen family? How do you express yourself without the need for validation and acceptance? What happens? This one is really curious to me. Who am I when no one's looking? How do I express myself when no one's looking? I really make myself laugh a lot by the silly things that I say when no one else is around. And I don't know if I can be that brave to bridge the gap between who I am when no one's looking and who I think I need to be when I'm being seen. How do you express yourself when you know you're wanting approval? Without that being a bad thing. It's okay to want approval, right? We want these social relationships. We're social creatures. So can we know how we express ourselves when we're seeking approval? And can we know how we express ourselves when we're seeking just pure expression? And my wishing has something to do with bridging that, of course. So if you haven't made your wishes, then consider some of those things. And if you have made your wishes, consider that some of those fall into those categories. And that's just a way of knowing yourself. And really quickly, with the wishes, you will burn or compost or bury a strip. You roll it up so you can't see it anymore. You don't want to know which wish is which wish is which. And you keep it in a bowl or a jar. And then each night for 12 nights, because the last one is the wish that you receive, you will burn, bury, or dispose of a wish so that you are magically given the gift of your wish at the end of this. And that wish is the wish that you receive as a gift with full consent. Each one of these wishes you've already consented to be in contract with. I want to say in relationship, but really you're doing this to create a contract for yourself and for your adventurous self in 2026. Who knows how you will engage with this wish that is the last one standing, the one that is waiting for you, the one that is come to the forefront. Of course, all of your wishes are going to have some fingers because you wished them. But this last one is the one that you take by the hand and you say, come on, baby, let's go. Let's figure this out. How could I be curious about this wish in this new year, at this time in my life? And I think it's time to find out what the I Ching has for us this time. But just before that, I want to play you this little bit.
We have a listener's reading this time. Anne wrote to me with a question about her life direction. The way she worded it was, how do I integrate myself as an artist with everyday life?
Okay, so do you remember way back, and I said that I was going to have a conversation with Hilary Barrett, who I love to use when I'm talking about the I Ching and understanding translations. Well, we had a conversation and it is on her podcast. And I don't know how it's very interesting for me, but I don't know how interesting it is for anyone else. But that's out and I will link it in the show notes so that you can listen to it if you would like to. I found it really helpful to listen to it later. We had the conversation and that was nice, but I was also a little nervous and it was a little bit, our connection wasn't great. So it wasn't an easy flowing conversation. And I could feel that afterward, that staccato of it. But listening to it again, I could relax and hear the wisdom behind the reading, which I think basically said, wait, wait and watch. There's no rush on anything. And it was really sweet to listen to it again. But let's see, what does the I Ching have for us at this very end of this year, 2025? What can we know about this time just before the full moon that begins our year? So we're not asking about the full moon. We're asking about the letting go of the old year. What can we know about this moment now? And I'm asking, what can we know to help us close this year well? And we get Hexagram 49, radical change. How can you break the mold? How must the form change to express the essence? Radical change. On your own day, there's truth and confidence from the source, creating success. Constancy bears fruit. Regrets vanish. It is time for transformation. The old Chinese character for radical change, which also means leather, shows an animal hide. This is change like a shaman's, putting on a new skin to change your identity. And it's also revolutionary change. This hexagram marks the day when the Zhou people and their allies marched out to meet the armies of the corrupt Shang dynasty and defeated them. You change the governing principle and bring about renewal. In the moment of change, there is truth, sincerity, and a sure knowledge. Then the power of the whole unfolding creative process from the source through to fruition and fulfillment can enter here and change the world. Naturally, regrets vanish along with the past to which they belong. The new time is coming. Woo! I don't think it gets better than that for the end of the year. We have line 5. Great person transforms as a tiger, which makes me happy because my Chinese birth sign is the tiger. It moves to hexagram 55. I always love getting this one. Abundance. What are you called on to do? What decisions must you take now? And part of this is feeling very similar to what I said earlier, which is I don't want to give advice that I'm not willing to take myself anymore. I want to feel the integrity of my way of being in the world. And maybe that is a kind of radical change. So if you're listening to this and it's not yet 2026, I think a little practice of letting go, letting things go, maybe along with the wishes, you write down some things and let them get burned in the fire, let them get buried or composted or released. Or you can do that, of course, in your mind. There are old ways of being that don't apply anymore. There are old ways of seeking approval, speaking for myself, that they don't work. I want to say, that's part of menopause too, or getting older, just in general. There are old ways of expressing yourself in the world that just feels silly now. And so I know that, this podcast, mostly it is folks like me. There are folks past mid-age here, and we're looking at this is different, right? It is not the same to be on the other side, over the hill. Being over the hill is different. It really is. And it is joyous and comforting, and how amazing to have made it. We're still alive if we're here together. And also there's a realignment of what matters. And I don't think that's just about for those of us who are on the more aging side of things. I think that we're coming into a time of realignment and looking for true radical change and social justice. So I'm fingers crossed for 2026 that we see some real change. And that's it for now. I will be back shortly because the full moon is in a week and I don't even know yet. I'm not done with where I'm at yet. So I'm right in the middle of the letting go and the letting go. I think the full moon is a kind of giant letting go. That's my suspicion, but let's save that for next time. Thank you so much for being here. You can reach out to me at my website, www.annhedley.com, ANNHEDLY.com. Until next time, may you be well, and may you know peace, and may all beings everywhere, whether known to me and us or not, may they be well, and may they know peace. Bye for now.